Hey fellas, Meat Trapper here, and as you can see, it's another brutal winter day in the deep south. We're going to do some beaver trapping today, and specifically some snaring. In the past, in my videos, you've seen I use a lot of fiberglass snare poles to support my snares. I've also showed how I use a 14 gauge wire and attach it to a support to crimp it onto the snare. So I'm going to show you one other little trick today, and that's to use electrical tape to support your snare. And this is not something I do on a regular basis. This is more of a field expedient method. If you ever get caught short, most people will have a roll of tape in their truck, and you can use tape to support your snare wire. So let's take a look. This is one of my favorite spots here. You've seen this before in my other videos. You can see there's a lot of different animals going up and down through here into the creek. I've caught beaver here, and there's fresh otter sign. So I'm going to put a snare right here. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and uncoil my snare. You can see I've got a brand new extension cable on this, and I'm simply going to tie that off to a fence post and simply put the snare loop through there like that. You can see how that will tighten up. Now, of course, the next step is to set our loop to the desired size, and we need to suspend the loop in the line of travel. Now, I do have a plastic support collar here, so I could use a number 9 wire on my fiberglass snare support. I could stick the pole in there, stick the wire in there, and be done. I've also shown in the past how to take a support wire and put a crimp in it and attach the wire to the snare so that I can then position it where I want. But what I'm going to show you today is something a little bit different, and that's how to use some electrical tape. So I've got a roll of tape here, and electrical tape is important because it'll stretch, and that's critical to getting a good tight fit. Like I say, this is not my preferred method, but in a pinch it will work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my snare loop to the right size and get it where I want it, about like that, and then I'm simply going to tape my snare to the wire. Let's see. You can see it's hard to get that angle, that good angle on it. Now, one thing you can see, I don't have the control with this method that I do with a lot of my other methods. So it is definitely not your first choice. But there's always things that you can do to work around it. You can see all I've got is a little bitty stick here that's holding that loop from its natural tendency to cant downwards. There we go. At that point, the set's done. So the electrical tape, like I say, it's not the best route, but it will work in a pinch. And it just goes to show you there's more than one way to do things. Okay, trick number 2. This is called the split stick method. You can see I've got a nice stick here, and it's chiseled on one end. And I didn't have to cut that. The beavers were nice enough to do that for me. Makes a perfect point. And on the other end, you can see I've made a split. It's important to have a nice, tight split right there. I hope that's showing up. The idea is very simple. We're going to stick this in the ground next to our direction of travel. We're going to take our snare loop. We're going to adjust our loop size where we want it. And then we're simply going to force that split apart, stick our cable in there, and there we go. You can see I don't need my chin up, but that will help raise the animal's head up and get him through the loop. And hopefully you can see that. Very quick, very simple. It's absolutely free. So there are a number of ways that you can support your snare. You don't have to go out and buy fiberglass rods. You don't have to have number 9 wire. If you were in a grid down or a survival situation, as long as you have your basic cable snare with an extension cable on it, you can catch food.